Hi there. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in your day or in the world. I hope that you have access to clean water and a dry place to sleep tonight. I wish this for you and for every person here and around the globe. Today is Wednesday, May 14th. My name is Grover, and this is Grover Reads the News. I have a news summary for you. Would you like to hear it? If so, keep listening. If not, I'll offer again soon. And with that, here's the news. First off, I have news about the U.S. Executive Office, migration, and resistance. Tufts University doctoral student Rumeysa Ozturk returned to Boston one day after a federal appeals court ordered that she should be released from a Louisiana immigration detention center where she was held for over 6 weeks. She will participate in federal immigration hearings remotely, as her lawyer is also charged that her constitutional rights, including to free speech and due process, were violated by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Ozturk said, quote, "In the last 45 days, I lost both my freedom and also my education during a crucial time for my doctoral studies." She said, "But I am so grateful for all the support, kindness, and care." The U.S. Episcopal Church's Migration Service is refusing the White House directive to help white South Africans resettle in the U.S., citing long-standing commitment to racial justice and reconciliation, reports The Guardian. On Monday, 59 white South Africans arrived on a private charter plane and were greeted by a government delegation. The Trump administration fast-tracked refugee status to white South Africans as a loud group of white South Africans claim they are discriminated against by the South African government, who implement policies that reduce the inequality created by hundreds of years of land theft by white people and racial apartheid implemented by white South Africans. The South Africans jumped the line ahead of thousands of would-be refugees fleeing violence and living in refugee camps who had been undergoing years of vetting and processing, as the Trump administration has all but disbanded the asylum program for all other migrants in the United States. Last week, Newark Mayor Ras Baraka was arrested outside an ICE detention facility after he attempted to join 3 New Jersey members of the congressional delegation to view an ICE detention center that a private imprisonment corporation is built and managed since the Trump administration started. They were awarded a 15-year contract to operate in Newark, despite local officials saying such a facility is not welcomed nor permitted in the area. While the ICE officials permitted the congressional delegation to enter the facility, they refused access to the mayor, who is also a candidate for governor in the June primaries. The police arrested him outside the facility for allegedly trespassing. The Guardian reports that several ICE agents, some wearing face coverings, surrounded Baraka and others on the public side of security gates surrounding the facility, as protesters cried out, "Shame!" Baraka was dragged back through the security gate in handcuffs. During a press conference afterwards, Congressmember Menendez said, quote, "It was an act of intimidation, not just to the mayor, not just to us, but to everyone who is watching. They feel no weight of the law. They feel no restraint on what they should be doing. And that was shown in broad daylight today," unquote. Finally, I have another update about immigration, but I do want to give you a note that it describes a woman and a child being harmed by police. In Worcester, Massachusetts, this week, a group of neighbors and organizers showed up in an attempt to block federal ICE agents from deporting a mother who was home with her 2-month-old baby and 16-year-old daughter. Local reporter Bill Shanner described the scene in an article to Mother Jones, saying, quote, surrounding them were a few dozen community members who were tipped off about the raid and got to it before Immigrations and Customs Enforcement did. Before I arrived, they demanded to see a warrant. The ICE agents refused to provide one, so they created a human chain, which the ICE officers eventually broke through, unquote. In Massachusetts, state law directs police to not assist with federal agencies deporting people. But the reporter describes, quote, a Worcester cop comes over, stepping between the open car door and the community, past the ICE agents, stuffing the mother into the back seat, and he looks at a woman holding the shrieking daughter's baby and says, stop, they'll explain. Then the 16-year-old grief-stricken daughter jumps on the hood of an ICE vehicle where her mother is trapped. The Worcester police pulled her off, pinned her to the ground, and cuffed her. The police then pushed and arrested protesters and threatened to take the 2-month-old baby from a neighbor who was protecting it. If you are able to hold it, I encourage you to watch the video, which is embedded in the Mother Jones article linked in this news summary. And then, if you live in Massachusetts like I do, contact your local state legislators and let them know your opinions about it. In the video, I see a group of mostly middle-aged women and a child standing up for a mom while surrounded by dozens of armed officers. I'll end this section with a quote from Worcester City Council member Exel Haxhaya, as described by the porter Bill Shanner. She is following close behind the ICE officials, screaming, "You are cowards." She's jogging to keep pace as they march their jackbooted march to the SUV with New York plates. "This is an innocent woman," she screams at them. Next, we have international news about India, Pakistan, then Gaza, then Mali. After 4 days of intense fighting between India and Pakistan over the contested region of Kashmir, a truce was called on Tuesday, May 13th, and has currently held more than 1 day later as I'm recording this update. And in Gaza, Hamas released U.S.-Israeli citizen Aidan Alexander, which the Washington Post characterized as a goodwill gesture to Donald Trump. The next day, at least 28 people were killed when Israel's military bombed the European hospital, one of Gaza's largest, which has frequently housed displaced Palestinians along with patients and staff over the course of the war. Sources within Israel say the hospital was targeted, alleging there was a bunker where a high-ranking Hamas military commander was operating from. The hospital was knocked out of service in July after the Israeli military ordered its evacuation. Then the hospital reopened in August with the help of PalMed Europe, a Paris-based nonprofit of Palestinian doctors. On Wednesday, a strike by Israel's military in northern Gaza killed 50, reports the BBC. Aid organizations continue to emphasize that 1 in 5 Gazans is facing starvation, and the entire region is at critical risk of famine, as Israel continues to refuse to allow aid convoys into the region. And in Mali, the military government that took control via a coup in 2021 has declared all the political parties be dissolved and banning members of those parties from meeting in groups. This comes after weeks of pro-democracy protests and arrests of pro-democracy leaders. Finally, we have nature news about flamingos. When I think of a classic flamingo stance, the creature is ankle deep in water as they lower their long necks into the water, quickly moving their head and feet up and down. Now, scientists understand that these motions are part of flamingos actively creating the water weather they need to catch prey, and that they are not just filter-feeding particles that may float by in the water. Victor Ortega Jimenez, an integrative biologist at the University of California, Berkeley, led this study, saying flamingos frequently and quickly retract their heads as they feed. Each of those motions create a tornado-like vortex and an upswelling of particles from the bottom towards the water's surface. Further observation and experiments with the mechanical beak revealed that chattering, in which flamingos rapidly clack their beaks while their heads are lifted but still underwater, is responsible for causing the mini twisters to flow directly towards the birds' mouths, helping them capture prey, reports Rachel Newer with the New York Times. The movement of their feet as well produce even more vorticles, which I'm going to assume mean water tornadoes, that pull additional particle towards the bird's waiting mouth as they feed upside down in the water. Taken together, these findings suggest that flamingos are, quote, highly specialized superfeeding machines that use their entire body for feeding, said Dr. Ortega Jimenez. Quote, we are challenging the idea that flamingos are just passive filter feeders. Just as spiders produce webs, flamingos produce vorticles. Thank you for joining me to face the news today. Wherever your day takes you, I hope it leads to a moment of respite, be that in the quiet of a safe home or the warm greeting of a fellow traveler. The news can be a lot to face, but we don't have to face it alone. We can do it together. If hearing this summary today was valuable to you, please share it with a friend or give it a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This helps others find it as we keep showing up to our lives and this planet at this time. Thank you for considering it and listening in with me today. Until next time, be well.